Hello, my name is Corey Edwards, and I'm here on behalf of my nonprofit organization, 352 Legends. First, it's really awesome to hear all the volunteers here. It kind of makes me look like ant work over here, thinking I do a lot, but hearing some of these hours is amazing. I have dedicated my life to the youth sports of our community. 17 years in a row now, I have been involved with youth baseball, youth tackle football, basketball. It is a passion of mine. I spend most of my adult life working Monday through Friday, 8 to 12 hours a day to provide for my family, and then an additional 3 to 4 hours after my work shift to volunteer my time for the kids of the community. Mark Twain once said, the two most important days of your life is the day you were born and the day you find out why. I spent most of my life trying to find my why. It wasn't until about a year and a half ago that I finally understood my calling. I always thought my calling would revolve around my career, but sometimes the most obvious answers to life can be right there in front of you, and you don't even realize it. This is why I started 352 Legends. I want to give kids of our county a safe and competitive place to play sports. When I speak of the kids, I truly do mean all kids. I'd like to fast forward a little bit of this. I'm a little nervous, but didn't really know what to expect coming to these meetings. But basically, 352 Legends offers both NFL flag football and junior NBA basketball. We are now approaching our 5th football season. Our first season, we only had 40 kids. Second season, 150 kids. Third season, 400 kids. Fourth season, 620 kids.
Wow.
We are now projecting 800 kids for our fall season. As for our basketball season, our first season, only 105 kids. We are now in our second season at 400 kids. This makes us the largest basketball organization that this county's ever provided. It's been a struggle, I have to admit. Our county doesn't offer an indoor gymnasium. This could also provide space for volleyball players as well, which, let's be honest, we don't really offer much volleyball in this town. With this being said, our Parks and Rec department, they work tirelessly with us. I mean, they really do try their hardest, but there's only so many fields in this town. I do believe that my organization has rapidly grown to a point to where we could assist the county in building a new facility or expanding a current park. I have a very, very large passion for this, and my why is to help expedite this process and execute the vision. What I see here is a pavilion-covered field. Last Jamboree for Pop Warner, we took 8 kids due to heat exhaustion to the hospital over an 8-hour day. I do believe we need some type of shade over a field and an indoor gymnasium. I'm out of time, but it's just a great way to introduce myself and kind of get myself out here to meet you all too. So thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Edwards, at my briefing yesterday, I said I would like to see some of the ARPA money going to our youth, to our parks. I would hope that we'd have some extra time to see if we could get some of that money. It depends on the board, what their pleasure is, but I would love to see some of that money going into our parks and our youth. Thank you for doing what you do. It's so important, and I hate to hear that number, 600 or 800, turned away.
What else do we have to talk about here? Corey, the positive message of the day. Great work. I didn't put nearly the amount of hours or years into coaching youth sports as what you have, but I enjoyed every single time that I was out there, and did years of travel ball with my son. There has been some talk up here about doing additional youth fields. Primarily Commissioner Carnahan used to talk about doing stuff out at the Central Citrus location, adding something out there. I think there is some conversation that needs to happen there. There's never been any conversation I'm aware of a covered facility out there, but that doesn't mean that that it's not something that can't be talked about, and try and find money to do something like that. I supported his efforts in the past to get something like that going, because there is a need out there for additional field sports facilities, and it just takes us having that conversation up here and then finding the funding to do it. Certainly, park impact fees are one place. I'm sure there are state grants and so forth out there that we can look to try and help that out. One last thing. Commissioner Slaybaugh, you mentioned the ARPA funds and like to see that spent on parks and youth. I think before we would go down that road, we need to look at whether or not that's something that can be done. The guidelines for what that money could be used for were pretty specific. When I sat up on this board when the COVID CARES Act funds came through, and Citrus County, Randy and his staff did an absolutely incredible job of getting out a tremendous amount of money out to the public at a remarkable speed. I think percentage-wise, we ended up distributing one of the highest percentages of our CARES Act funding in the state, and did it at a much faster speed than many counties did. This ARPA funding, I remember when that was first being discussed, he was very concerned about doing things that maybe wouldn't pass an audit, or don't pass the smell test, because there were some pretty restrictive guidelines. I believe it was public health issues, infrastructure, and there was something else. Some counties used their CARES Act money in ways that they weren't supposed to, ultimately did not pass audit, and were required to pay some back. So we don't want to find ourselves in that position. Let's stay the course. Use this what it was designed and distributed to do. If parks and youth recreation facilities are fair game, if you will, under the ARPA funds, I would support it 100%, and I'd ask you for about $800,000 for the Pirates Cove property, but I'm not sure that qualifies. But anyway, we'll have that discussion later.
If Corey, and again, if that tourism is anything that brings heads and beds, I certainly hope that you will look to the tourism. That was many years ago when I chaired that board. My hope and dream that we actually did a study with Johnson & Johnson on a sports complex. We just weren't ready for it at that time, but that was the whole idea of creating the additional capital penny, is that we could actually do something that would create good family tourism, travel ball and other things of the like. And that's my dream, I guess, is I would always like to see what we could do with implementing a big project with those dollars. So keep up the good work and keep our kids busy and off technology. Thank you.
Sure.
I think, oh no, he's still here. Mr. Edwards with 352 Legends. That's wonderful. My son's much older, but used to do all the sports, and it's such a great way for parents and kids to be part of the community. So I applaud your efforts, and you're talking about some big ideas, so hopefully maybe you could get that out to all of us, email or set up some meetings. I'm very interested in what you see for the youth in our community, and I thank you for your efforts.